I want to talk a little bit about the T-square configuration in the birth chart. Now, if you have a T-square in your chart, this is a configuration that can be seen as somewhat challenging, but the gifts of a T-square are exponential if you can solve the T-square. And it's funny because as I'm trying to find an angle to film this video, my T-square was definitely activated because I was just feeling extremely frustrated because I couldn't find an angle where I didn't have a glare on my glasses. If you don't know what a T-square is, it is when you have two planets in opposition, and then you have a third planet which is squaring both of those planets in opposition. So they are all going to be in the same modality. Now, this is definitely a topic that is more for intermediate to advanced students of astrology. So if you really haven't grasped the individual aspects of the opposition and the square and the trine and the sextile, then I would recommend studying those, mastering those first, and then you can jump into your more prominent configurations or aspect patterns. This is a little bit similar to a grand cross, but with a grand cross, you will have 4 planets. 2 sets of planets will be in opposition to each other, and then they all make a giant square in the birth chart. That is a grand cross, all in the same element, usually. Now, the first thing I want you to do is to grasp the overall archetypal energy of the planets involved in the T-square. So what planets are involved? The signs that the planets are in are going to be kind of, background frequency, just a little bit of additional information or flavor to how the T-square will play out. But first and foremost, you need to grasp the planetary energies of the T-square. Then, of course, you're going to look at the house position of the T-square planets. So what houses is this falling in? And we're going to pay particularly close attention to the planet at the apex. So the planet that is squaring both of the planets in opposition. Now, technically, there are 2 ways that you can go about solving a T-square. The first and most prominent way, or the first way you should likely try to solve your T-square, is to look to the apex planet. So the planet that is at the apex is going to solve the oppositional energies of the 2 planets. This is going to be exceptionally important if this is a personal planet. So Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, Mercury, those are going to be exceptionally prominent for you. A lot of people that have a prominent T-square aspect in their natal chart, this will be an overarching theme throughout their lives, but it does propel you to have tremendous growth. Now, I also want you to pay attention to the modality. So we can either have a cardinal, fixed, or mutable T-square or grand cross. But that said, if you have a T-square in cardinal signs, this is going to be an energy of needing to start things. You might have a habit of just starting a bunch of things and not necessarily finishing them, but this energy played out in a T-square is very much ego-based, and it's to do with the self. The energy of the cardinal T-square can be a lot of criticism or being very critical of self or others, and the energy can just present itself as very much associated with the identity of the individual. If your T-square is in fixed signs, this is going to lend a quality of needing to find meaning or value. That is what fixed energy is really about. And it can play out as being very much stubborn or rigid, and you need to remember to remain teachable and, to be able to change and evolve. And if you have a mutable T-square, this is definitely going to play out in regards to relationships. There is an energy of really diving into the emotions and the feelings. It has a lot to do with intimacy and vulnerability. You really need to cultivate an energy of being selfish and generate more of that cardinal energy, identifying with self and being self-sufficient or being somewhat selfish instead of giving yourself to your relationships entirely. Now, back to the focus on the apex planet. The apex planet is going to be how you will generally solve a T-square. So there is a few analogies we can use for this, but one of them being if you are watching a sports game and the oppositional planets are playing without a referee, it's going to be a bloodbath and it doesn't mean anything. But the apex planet is going to be the referee, and it gives the game or the sporting event value, and it actually makes it enjoyable to watch. Another very common analogy for this aspect pattern, if you think of it like a 3-legged table, you obviously know that there is a missing table leg. That missing table leg is going to be directly across or opposed to the apex planet. So let's just say we have the apex planet in Gemini. The opposite sign to Gemini would be Sagittarius. So you would have a planet in opposition between Virgo and Pisces, and then you would have an apex planet in Gemini. Your oppositional point, or the fourth table leg to the apex planet, would be in Sagittarius. So that would bring four legs, quote unquote, to the table. So you need to bring out or develop that quality or that energy wherever that plays out in your chart, or wherever that location is in your chart, and that will bring balance to your T-square. So we can try both of these. We can first try to look to the apex, and then we can try to look to the opposition to the apex. I want to mention too that these are very powerful aspects, both the T-square and the Grand Cross. I'll make a video on the Grand Cross if you guys are interested in that. But these are very powerful energies, and they kind of have a fixed quality to them in general. A lot of people will refer to the T-square as scorpionic energy because it's very transformative. But if you don't undergo the transformative quality of, if we're relating it to Scorpio, if you're not alchemizing it, a lot of people will live with this energy and struggle with balancing three different parts of their personality or three different parts of their life for their entire life, and it won't ever get solved. But if you can utilize this and alchemize it, these are aspect patterns that are seen in some of the most resilient and successful people. It's very motivating energy if you utilize it correctly. It's transformative, and you will have a lot better quality of life, and it will be regenerative in a lot of different ways. So with all that said, that is all I have for you. If you guys want to book personal astrology and or tarot readings with me, you can email me or you can shoot me a DM on TikTok or Instagram, and I will see you next time. I love you.